Ever wondered what money really is? We swipe cards, tap phones, but what's backing it all? The answer, surprisingly, lies in a nearly forgotten law from 1792, a law that defined America's financial soul. This isn't just a dusty history lesson. It's the story of the money you use every single day, and a warning we all forgot. Imagine this. The United States is brand new. The Revolutionary War is won, but the country is a financial mess. Each state has its own currency. Foreign coins are everywhere. It's chaos. How do you build a nation on such shaky ground? The founding fathers, giants like Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson, knew the answer was honest money. They needed a system everyone could trust. This led to the Coinage Act of 1792. This was more than just a law. It was a promise. It established the U.S. Mint and, crucially, defined the dollar. What was a dollar? It wasn't just a piece of paper. The act specified that $1 was exactly 371.25 grains of pure silver. It also defined gold coins, like the eagle, which was worth $10 and contained 247.5 grains of pure gold. Think about that for a second. The dollar had a fixed, tangible value. You could walk into a bank, hand over your paper money, and demand its equivalent in actual silver or gold. It wasn't a piece of paper representing a asterisk promise, asterisk of value. It asterisk was asterisk value. This created incredible stability. An American dollar was a reliable unit of account, a trustworthy store of wealth, not just in America, but around the world. This principle, known as bimetallism, was the bedrock of the American economy for nearly a century. It wasn't a perfect system, and the ratio between gold and silver sometimes caused problems. But the core principle remained. Money was tied to something real. It wasn't just created out of thin air by a government or a central bank. This tether to precious metals acted as a natural check on inflation and government spending. You couldn't just print more money unless you had more gold or silver to back it up. This discipline built immense trust in the US dollar and fueled America's incredible growth throughout the 19th century. So, what happened? Why don't we have silver dollars in our pockets today? The change didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, quiet collapse. A series of legislative tweaks and economic pressures that gradually chipped away at the foundation built in 1792. It started with subtle changes to the silver content, then moved towards a gold standard and faced immense pressure during times of crisis, like the Civil War when the government needed to print money called greenbacks that wasn't backed by precious metals. The real shift began in the early 20th century. The creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913 was a monumental step, establishing a central bank with the power to manage the money supply. Then came the Great Depression in 1933, in a move that would have been unthinkable to the Founding Fathers. President Franklin D. Roosevelt effectively took the U.S. off the gold standard for its citizens. It became illegal for Americans to own most forms of gold. You could no longer walk into a bank and exchange your paper dollars for gold. The direct link was severed for the people. For a while, the US dollar remained tied to gold on the international stage. Other countries could still exchange their dollars for US gold reserves. But by the 1960s, with spending on the Vietnam War and social programs soaring, the US was printing more dollars than it had gold to back. Foreign nations, particularly France, started calling America's bluff, demanding gold for their dollars. The U.S. gold supply dwindled at an alarming rate. The final nail in the coffin came on August 15, 1971. President Richard Nixon went on television and announced he was temporarily suspending the convertibility of the dollar into gold. That temporary suspension is still in effect today. In that moment, the last thread connecting the U.S. dollar to the principles of the 1792 Coinage Act was cut. The dollar officially became a fiat currency backed by nothing but the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. Its value was now determined by market forces, government policy, and the decisions of the Federal Reserve. So why does this matter? What is the forgotten warning from 1792? The founders understood a fundamental danger. When money is disconnected from real, tangible value, it gives immense power to those who control its creation. Thomas Jefferson himself warned, if the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up. homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. Whether you agree with Jefferson's dire prediction or not, the results are undeniable. Since 1971, the value of the dollar has plummeted. What you could buy for $1 in 1971 now costs over $7. We've experienced recurring cycles of boom and bust, and government debt has exploded to levels that would have been unimaginable to the generations who lived under a system of sound money. The 1792 Act was a warning against exactly this. A system where money can be created without limit, eroding savings and concentrating power. By forgetting the principles of the Coinage Act of 1792, we've forgotten that money can be an anchor, a source of stability and trust. Instead, it has become a tool of policy, subject to the whims of politics and economic theory. The story of this forgotten law isn't just about gold and silver. It's about the fundamental nature of trust, value, and freedom. It's a reminder to ask the critical question: what is our money really worth? Thanks for joining us on this journey through America's forgotten financial history. If this story made you think, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the ideas that shape our world. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.